So here for chapter 9, what I wanted to do was not burden you with making it seem as though tables are tremendously important any longer. They're not. This is the full stop. So if you wanted to, you could probably listen to the following statement, hit stop on this particular video, and then just get on with your life, or stick around to hear the history of everything that led us to here. So tables are only in modern web design supposed to do one thing for you. They're supposed to essentially recreate an Excel spreadsheet. Columns with headings, rows with numbers, so that your user does not have to use a ton of bandwidth or make a ton of mistakes in looking at a bunch of data that you have put onto a page. And that's all they do. So everything you see here in chapter 9 is about stylizing a table using CSS so you can give the user highly formatted, highly regularized data so that they can see what's going on and so that they can continue other aspects of the content without wasting their time, like, and I mean this physically, lining up like, okay, this is the value we're looking for. That is not what tables are here to do. You'll notice here in the session that there is two websites that I have for you where you can see what we actually used to use tables for. And those are, if it still works, it was dodgy here when I was just demoing earlier. The two websites we have there are Space Jam, is the one that may or may not work, and dolekemp96.org, which by now, that was 1,000,000 years ago. So that means that somebody at the Dole Kemp organization sees a domain registration form come through once a year, and they're like, you go ahead and you do that. So, I mean, whatever. But dolekemp96.org. What I can tell you is actually other versions of this textbook from 15 years ago. Like when I was taking web design in graduate school, actually had every chapter after chapter 4 was tables, 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 tables. If you open, let's say dolekemp96.org, what you will notice is if you go in and look at the source code from lines 80 to 180, everything is in a table. So each one of the images you see is a cell in a table. Each little piece of content you see there is a cell in a table. And what we used to have to do was kind of like addition through subtraction. We would have to take our entire page as a web page, as an Excel spreadsheet, essentially. And what we would have to do is say, okay, we're going to need this many rows and this many columns to put this banner advertisement in. Next to it, we're going to have to take this many rows and this many columns to put our logo in, which means that this many rows and this many columns was this portion of our content, which means that we had a little bit of space going this way for more rows and columns. And it sucked. It was a nightmare. It's actually one of the reasons that things like Adobe Flash, you remember Adobe Flash as, you know, very, very probably the thing that made your browser crash, and actually the thing that probably made your operating system crash more than anything else did. But we started relying on things like Adobe Flash because it was far easier and far more logical and far more scalable for us to say, here's all of the different interactive portions of the page that we want without having to do the addition through subtraction. Okay, wait a minute. So I am 4 columns down and 4 columns down and 6 rows over, which means that I can start the 5th column down and the 7th row over. To hell with all of that. You have far more powerful tools in your arsenal with classes and IDs and percents and EMs and width and height. than you did with all of this mish of tables. So the only thing you're going to need tables for is making highly regularized, highly stylized data content easy for your unknown potential user to be able to see. So you can take a look at dolkemp96.org, which was literally the tip of the spear as far as web design goes for 1996, and you can see how far we've come. You can actually use that page to benchmark how far you've come here in only essentially 4 weeks now, plus this of content. So that's a really long way to have come, and you can look at your projects and go, that's a million times better. But this whole chapter is 20 pages from the intro page to the very last page of the Path of Light Yoga Studio, which is literally just its image, the check image at the end there. And that's the way it should be. I still think that tables are damnable elements from hell, and that's right back to where they should go because of how much they were a feature of HTML 1,000 years ago. And now you don't have to do that. It's like polio. They are gone for the most part, and everybody is better for it.